Welcome back to The Invisible Industry, the podcast where we discuss and educate on everything you didn't know about agricultural rendering, brought to you by the North American Renderers Association, or NARA. I'm your moderator, Anna Wilkinson. I'm the Vice President of Communications for NARA, and joining me, as always, is our host, Marcus Windsor. Today's episode is very near and dear to all our hearts here at NARA because it's a My Why episode where our members can talk about the benefits of membership and why they join NARA. We're going to be talking to members about their personal experiences, what surprised them about NARA, and even some treasured memories from the association. We're lucky enough to be joined today by 4 very special NARA members, the co-chairs of the newly formed Industry Advisory Committee. Lots to talk about, Marcus, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you for introductions and to get into these interviews.
Thanks again, as always, for the introduction, Anna. As you mentioned, today we are discussing My Why, and I'm sure the answers we'll get today will be just as diverse as our membership. This episode is particularly valuable for anyone exploring the idea of joining NARA. Through conversations with our members today and their firsthand accounts, we have the opportunity to highlight the many advantages of NARA membership and provide potential members with personal insights of the experiences and benefits that come with being part of our community. So let's dive right in. Thank you and welcome to our guests today. Can we start with you, Sandy?
I am Sandy Boston. I am the Customer Development Manager for Pet Food and Rendering for Caldic USA.
I'm Chavis Ferguson. I am the Vice President of Operations for Coast Packing Company.
And I'm Cooper O'Brien. I'm the Rendering Business Manager for Cargill Protein.
I'm Jeff Schottmeyer. I am Director of Sales and Marketing for Travis Body and Trailer.
Thank you all very much. First question, how did you learn about NARA membership?
I learned about NARA when I first joined Caldic. My area of coverage is pet food as well as rendering. And when I started with the company, which was about 10 years ago, our company was already involved with NARA, but in the early phases of involvement. So I basically learned from my coworker who was handling the industry at the time. And since then, I think our involvement has grown pretty notably.
I learned about NARA just because when I joined the company, we're a 100-year-old company based in Los Angeles, and we've had rendering throughout. We've been a big part of NARA, kind of here and there across that lifespan. And people have such good things to say about the industry, about where to go for information. It just made it an important part of my annual process.
For me, I mean, kind of the same thing as Sandy. When I came to Cargill, especially on the rendering side of things, I was sent to my first spring meeting and it was the spring of 2019 in Chicago. And I really didn't know anything. I was just getting started, and I'm still learning to this day, but it initially opened my eyes to how important rendering plays a role in society and being the world's oldest recycler. I mean, that's one thing I've heard from day one, and it's still something that I instill into any conversation I have today about rendering. So I still remember that from this day, from April of 2019, and that's kind of how I got started into NARA and built from there.
Travis has been attending NARA for over 20 years. So when I joined the Travis team back in 2018, I was immediately introduced to the organization. And I say this, we often talk about how, or refer to rendering as the invisible industry. And I can understand what that means, because before I started at Travis, I really knew absolutely nothing about the rendering side. So it's been great just kind of learning and going to conferences and meeting people and learning a lot from everybody.
Those are great answers. Have you felt welcomed upon joining NARA?
Yes, I definitely have. And it was actually a NARA member, someone who is very active, who introduced me to various other companies, other people within the organization. So I do feel that among other trade shows and industry groups that I participate with, NARA is definitely the most welcoming. And I also like that even though, renderers are competitors, they still are friends and share information. And it's a really tight community, I think.
I would agree with you. My first NARA meeting, lots of handshakes, people reaching out to immediately know who I was. And as we talked, they facilitated introductions to other people in the industry, other people on the West Coast. but mainly to help me build quick relationships, not just with, peers or competitors, as you put it, but also with those vendors that might be able to help me solve problems.
Yeah, and I agree with both of them, and I'm assuming I'll probably agree with Jeff too. But I think in from my experience, it was a little bit tougher. Not in the sense that I wasn't welcome, but there weren't many young professionals involved in NARA, let alone the rendering industry as a whole. But I did find that most that seemed or looked to be well known or established in the industry, they weren't shying away from new faces, and they were more welcoming than which you don't see at a lot of industry conventions, like Sandy said. I mean, that was a big difference that I saw. And I mean, overall, it feels like a sense of camaraderie and in a very niche and small world. So I think that's a huge piece where we all meet each other and we all become really good friends, and that's crazy to me in comparison to a lot of other organizations that I've been a part of.
When my wife and I first came to our first convention back in 2018, we were very fortunate to have Bud Hughes and his wife Janet basically show us the ropes and introduce us to a lot of people. Those of you that don't know, Bud was a former president of Travis, and he and Janet, they're just amazing people. And when they left, they really left, or when he retired, they really left big shoes for us to fill. And I think that really inspired my wife Robin and I to really work hard and get involved the way they did over the years. And it's been very beneficial, and we absolutely love it. Just very great group of people to be around.
What made you join NARA?
A couple things that I find most valuable in joining NARA and will definitely continue to participate. One is that it's a way that our company and myself in particular can support my customers in rendering. I think it's always important to support your customers. So it's a visible way, as well as even, support the annual meeting and that sort of thing. Also, I do like that NARA does provide so much of an opportunity to network with my customers, not only just the buyer, but other people within the customer's organization. So that is one of the important reasons why I did join NARA and definitely would continue to participate. And then lastly, I definitely like that it offers a lot of learning experience, a lot of knowledge for the industry that I'm not sure where I would secure if I didn't refer to NARA on the website.
I also enjoyed and enjoy that learning piece from the government side as new regulations are coming on, the different views that they give us on how to make sure we address these things correctly and promptly. Also, that piece, that technical piece in problem solving, really understanding what best of the best looks like, and then being able to, share or learn from others versus needing to create it for yourself. It's really been very beneficial to me.
And I think for me, outside of feeling like it was a part of the job, coming into it, coming to realize how much they do for the rendering industry as really they're the only voice we have for our business. So it's huge benefit that I think it's very important for everyone to be involved in NARA and to join NARA to have some help along the way, especially on the policy side, like Chavez said. It's a huge piece that everybody needs.
Similar to what Cooper was saying, the question being, what made you join NARA? I guess I didn't have really an option when I started Travis. They basically told me that I was joining. So, but I'm very thankful for that. Like I keep on saying, I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm very thankful that I was told that I had to join.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how most members end up joining. That's part of the businesses. We do that. What would you say are the top 2 perks of NARA membership?
Top 2 perks. Well, I do have to say that the October meeting is always a huge perk. It's a great opportunity not only to have more of a relaxing sales trip, so to speak, but also again, there are a lot of socializing opportunities, other side trips and things like that. So that's a huge perk for me, absolutely. And then just the friendships that I've developed as well that, always good to connect with some colleagues that I've met through NARA.
I would definitely echo that. The conversations you have in the relaxed environment, it's not high pressure. It's probably one of the biggest perks. We joke a lot about the golf outing where There's no stress. It's more fun than anything. And that leads to a lot of great conversations over lunch or breakfast, the following days and the following years. So that really is the biggest piece. I think that echo that we keep giving is that, in those relationships, whether you meet people who are peers in your industry, suppliers to your industry, or, people who are in other industries who might be able to direct you one way or the other, that has led to some great business conversations. And that helps us to go in different directions. And you don't get that opportunity to kind of network in a sphere that maybe you're not the expert in, but that you could be able to contribute in ways that, tomorrow that you're not doing today.
Two perks. I mean, obviously being the networking that we have at the conventions and all the other the spring meetings and other get-togethers, even virtually. Because every time we do get together, when I brought up the sense of camaraderie, I mean that's what it is, and I enjoy every time I get to see these folks on this call and others that work on this call on this go around. But it's always enjoyable, and we always learn from each other. And the other thing is too, I would say, the other perk being support when issues arise. At least from a personal experience, I will say, well, not necessarily personal experience, something that I learned prior to me coming to rendering was that at a time that we had containers stuck at a port, and it was either France or Belgium, that we contacted NARA, and we had a group of them. Kent was one of them, and I'm not sure who else, but flew over to that area to help get that issue resolved. And I've heard many stories throughout, other people that have reached out and helped in the same way. So I think that's something that is a huge perk that maybe not many know as much about, but always can contact them to help out, especially on the export front, as most of us are heavily involved in that. But
I definitely agree with everybody as far as the biggest perk being the people that you meet and the relationships that you build and all the networking. But for me, there's also a big perk that it really just comes with the knowledge I've gained. I mean, as I've already mentioned, I came into it without really knowing a whole lot about rendering and the entire industry. And so really being able to come in and get involved and learn quite a bit. I've gone from not knowing anything about it to looking forward to the next issue of Render magazine to read it cover to cover. I never thought I'd go out to dinner with friends and sit there and talk about animal byproducts and how used cooking oil is used to create biofuel. And I'm sure there's times that my friends wish I didn't talk about that either at dinner, but it is what it is. But I want to add one other thing though that it's really kind of exciting for us. I mean, we are actually starting a new strategic initiative at Travis that will be focused on collaborating with companies within industries such as rendering and organics and biosolids and others to really work together towards a more sustainable future, and how Travis can assist with that. This is kind of a little bit of a sneak peek, but I say that because this initiative really is because of us attending NARA. I mean, if it wasn't for going to NARA and really getting involved and learning it, we wouldn't have the excitement, not just me personally, but our company, to really say, hey, what can we do out there to help make a difference? So, that's all. I give credit to NARA for that.
Now, as Anna mentioned, you're all on the Industry Advisory Committee. Are there any other ways in which you've increased your involvement since joining NARA?
Yes, I can answer that question. As a whole, our company has definitely gotten more involved. We initially didn't really do any kind of sponsorship. Now we do sponsor the October convention. We participate in that way. And then also, most notably, I think I'd have to say I've been coming to the convention about 10 years now. In the first 5 or 6 years, the company just sent me. And then we did add another person. And the last show or meeting, we had 5 people. So we are, even within our own company, promoting rendering. And of course, that leads to securing more funds from leadership within our organization that we can feed back to NARA.
For Coast Packing, we've definitely increased in sponsorship and visibility. I work with Cooper and Jeff for that matter on a committee that's seeking to tap more into vendors to make sure that we're understanding, the exciting parts that keep them coming to the convention and how to improve upon that. I would say for the organization, the growth for Coast really ties closely with rendering. And whether we use the products to, kind of make them ourselves by rendering or other people rendering and we use it. But learning all the ins and outs there really have driven us to, know that we had to do something more. And NARA is just a great way to help focus that energy.
Yeah, I mean, the involvement has increased. Being the main representative for my company, Cargill, and outside of just attending the spring and annual meetings, speaking at IPPE in the International Market Rendering Forum, those types of things. I mean, I think are huge and great opportunities across the board, and to be on all these committees and this newly founded committee that I think is going to bring a voice to some that maybe didn't feel as a part as a whole, even though they were. But I think it's going to bring a voice in different solutions and different, I guess, kind of news that maybe we don't see or some, larger vendors may not see. And I think it'll be a great thing across the board.
So I think one of the misunderstandings that a lot of new people have whenever they first come to NARA is, they're not just invited to come to the cocktail receptions and the dinner and the tabletop event, but it's open for everybody. And that's one thing I didn't understand whenever I first came. So yeah, as the time has gone, I've definitely increased going to the meetings, and again, that's where a lot of the education has come from for myself. So I think that's something that we need to make sure that people understand whenever they first come to the NARA events, that they can attend all of those meetings. In addition, last year, I was honored to be asked by Chairman Glenn to co-chair the new Industry Advisory Committee along with Sandy. And this committee, as I mentioned, is really created to give the associate and allied members a bigger voice within NARA. And I think I can speak for the entire committee that, and we're all very excited to be a part of it. I think there's going to be a lot of good things come from it. We had our first meeting at the last convention. We talked a lot about but what we're talking about right now, basically, a lot of these same questions. We talked about how we can get new members more involved and so forth. So, it's going to be a lot of benefit to the whole industry, I believe, that I think we'll be able to drive a lot of value. So ultimately, though, I mean, I just encourage everybody to get involved. You're going to see a lot more value to your membership if you're getting involved, going to those meetings, building relationships, and all that. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's helped us drive a strategic initiative within our company, just being a part of it. So I think it's very important to be involved.
Now, some of you have already touched on this a little bit, but are you on any other NARA committees, subcommittees, working groups? And if so, which ones?
I am not on any other committees or working groups, but definitely I will have to add that to my list of things for this year.
I was on a subcommittee where we as an organization looked at the fuel and food concerns, and to make sure that, one, we captured all of the views and thoughts of all the different members and tried to bring that together into some direction that we could provide to lawmakers. I also participate each year in our visit to Washington, D.C., our annual fly-in, where we get educated from things that lawmakers are concerned about, and likewise give them feedback on things we would like some help with. Lastly, we're slowly coming together and talking a lot. I don't know if I would call this a committee yet, but the edible side of rendering. So there are a few more inedible members than edible members, but we are slowly coming together, getting to know each other, and hopefully that will lead to some additional opportunities to network and make a committee in the future.
Recently joined or took the seat on the communications committee, the IMDC, which is the International Market Development Committee, the Legislative Action Committee, and then a liaison for this newly created advisory committee. And then I also have a seat on the board of directors. And with all that, I mean, every committee is important, but to me, when I first came in, the one that kind of brought a lot of people's attention was the International Market Development Committee, because there's a lot of focus on the export side of things and the need to grow the export business in general for a lot of renderers, as that opportunity is going to be huge. I mean, it's always going to be needed. So there is a lot of focus there. But again, each committee has its play in all of our parts, and each one's just as big as the other. So I would say if anybody can, definitely join other committees, and we got to keep growing it. And the communications one's big, and so we can get the marketing out there and everybody join NARA. Well, for the ones that, involved in the industry. So
similar to Sandy, this is the Industry Advisory Committee is the first committee that I've been a part of. And again, I'm excited to be a part of it, and really ultimately look forward to joining other committees wherever it's possible to do it, and trying to help and drive value to the organization.
What are your favorite moments or one favorite memory from your NARA membership or from a NARA event?
Yes, I would say definitely the annual meeting. And as I previously mentioned, lots of fun activities helping to build relationships and whatnot. I do remember, I actually have two memories, especially, but one in particular was the outing was a sailboat outing. And I happened to have my coworker with me who was exceptional at sailing, and then also a couple of our customers from Valley Proteins at the time. And it was just an awesome overall day, and then our afternoon, and then also we did a bit of a sailboat race, and of course, because my coworker was so skilled at sailboating, we did win the competition, so that was fun. And then also one time there was the October meeting when the World Series was being played. It was like the ultimately the last game of the World Series, and my coworker and I were hanging out with one of our customers whose team was playing in the World Series, and his team won. So that was like, really exciting. It was, everybody within the bar area was all, gung ho and excited about the game. That was a really bonding experience for everyone there.
I think for me, that first trip to Capitol Hill, all the introductions that were made, taking pictures at different places in the Capitol, meeting people in their offices, was just something that was a little different, a little special. Having, the people who had made many trips kind of introduce you, but also to tell you how to navigate all of the different mazes, the little subway system underneath. It seems small, but it was definitely an impactful visit.
Kind of same for me. There's a lot of memories that I've had over the years, but the DC fly-in is one that sticks out in my head. The first year I was pretty nervous as I wasn't the most political savvy, I guess you could call it, and be the one that we sent as the representative for that fly-in, and I'm glad I did. It was the first time I went, it was a smaller group, and I got to really meet them on a personal level. And it felt, more accepting to me too. On top of that, as I said, being a young professional in the industry, it felt a little bit tougher. So that was huge strides for me. And then on top of that, over the last, I've been there 3 years, the lobbying that we've done, and to finally hear and see that rendering was mentioned in the Farm Bill a handful of times. I think it was 30 plus, 40 plus, somewhere in there, for the first time ever, essentially when the Farm Bill was created. Made it actually seem like our vote counted. So I think that was actually really cool, and to see that the work that we're doing and lobbying for, to have some output there. So yeah, that's kind of one of my big ones that sticks out in my head.
Honestly, I love seeing how much my wife has really enjoyed getting involved in the organization as well. She comes from a completely different industry, really didn't know anything about it. But some of you may know, we as Travis, we sponsor all the spouse events. So she kind of leads that up, and she gives a speech at the beginning of each one. And so she's gotten very involved. In fact, this past year, it's kind of funny. She still had to work her normal job. So she was actually getting up at 3:30 in the morning every day so that she could take the time to go out and do the spouse events, come back and work, and then be able to that afternoon get out and do all the different events in the afternoon and the evening. And I think that speaks, speaks a lot for the organization as a whole, as far as the relationships go, that she's gotten that involved in it as well. But I want to add also, Chavis and Cooper both mentioned the congressional fly-in, which I think, I would put that as, I think I feel like my favorite memory is yet to come. We're very excited. We're going to do the congressional fly-in this next year, and I haven't been there yet. I'm extremely excited, but I just really encourage people, if they get the opportunity to do it, why not? It sounds so exciting. I'm so excited to do it. I'm sure, like Cooper, you said, your first year, you're kind of sitting there wondering what you need to do, but a lot of people that help guide, and I'm just really excited to do it.
Those were excellent. Thank you all very much. Final question here. After you joined NARA, did anything about NARA surprise you?
Yes. after I joined him again, particularly at the October meeting, I especially liked that, the renderers are competitors, but yet they are friends. That was just so distinctive. And within their industry, it's like it's a sharing of knowledge versus holding on to something and keeping it for yourself. So I just think it's the openness, sharing, camaraderie, which I have not seen in any other part of the food or pet food industry. That would be one of them. And then what also was very amazing, and Jeff sort of suggested this, was the spouses are like really involved with each other, and it's almost like they're just a group of friends who have their annual reunion. They're all really connected and also really supportive of the industry. Those were two of the most distinctive things that almost immediately caught my attention.
The big surprise was the industry was very open to the question of like what if or why not. And as new ideas kind of floated, didn't mean that everything was always like immediately a home run, but there was clear listening, clear digesting before getting a response. And that did lead to, I think, a lot of good conversation and a lot of good debate on what should come next for our industry. So that was just exciting and encouraging and part of what keeps you going every day.
Yeah, and I would say the surprising thing to me was, and again, we've continually talked about it in comparison to other industries, is just the openness and willingness to just listen to everyone. I mean, it takes all of us to help this industry, and we're not here to just better our own selves, but to better each one of us. So we're doing it, you know, in hands that stride to stride with each other. That I think that's the reason why we are successful with NARA, is because it's a group effort, and it's not just the big one's gonna go. You got to go push this forward, push this agenda forward. It's hey, we need everybody involved and to do this together, or we wouldn't have this organization to help the industry as a whole. So
it all surprised me. I mean, coming into it, just the industry as a whole, but the organization as well. I mean, the same thing as what you guys are all saying. I mean, just the people and just how good everybody is, how good the people are that are involved. It's all been surprising, but again, I go back to some of the things I said before. The industry as a whole, just kind of learning about the original recycler and all the different processes and where the material and where the byproducts are used at. I mean, this is just information that's not commonly known. In fact, my company is we're involved in many different industries, and so we talk about rendering at Travis, and most of the people at our office, they don't really know what that is. I mean, it's just kind of like we've seen the videos that you've done before on what is rendering. I mean, that's what you'd get those same answers from my office. And so we're actually going to take the latest video that NARA's put out, and we're going to show that at our next all company meeting and try and get everybody a little bit more understanding of what rendering is and excited about it. So yeah, it was all a surprise to me.
Thank you all very much for your well thought out and excellent answers today. Really appreciate you and appreciate you being here. Thank you all again very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Marcus. And thank you again to all our guests for joining us today. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And thank you out there for joining us for another episode of The Invisible Industry. We hope you'll join us again. If you're interested in learning more about NARA or rendering, you can visit our website at nara.org. And if this episode inspired you to look into NARA membership, or maybe you know someone who might be looking into it themselves, just email info@nara.org or reach out to our membership coordinator directly at 703-754-8740. Stay curious, everyone. And to all our rendering listeners out there, stay seen and stay green.